When you're squatting to a chair or your bench or a box, all the same rules apply that we talked about in the squat overview. We're not going to let our knees come in, knees go forward, or we're not going to arch the back. The way it's going to work with a bench is I'm going to get my feet in that proper position, just outside of hip width apart, slightly angled, and then I'm going to reach my rear back and sit all the way down on that bench or box or chair, whatever you're using, keeping the shins pretty close to vertical so that I could accentuate the action of the glutes, which is why we would do a squat like this in the first place. So I'm going to drive my heels through the floor as I come back out. What I'm not going to do is arch my back either at the top or in that bottom position by pushing my torso forward before I come up. You want to just simply hinge forward and then drive the heels through the floor to get up. You also don't want to use a lot of momentum that will drive you forward onto your toes. It should be a nice smooth movement where you're simply leaning forward, redistributing your weight over your heels, driving your heels into the floor and coming up. And the torso is all staying in one position, not arching. Ideally, you would eventually get to a place before you move on to a squat that doesn't require any assistance. You would get to a place where you were squatting to an object that was low enough that your hip crease was below the top of the knee. So you'd be squatting down to below parallel and get to a squat at that depth before you move on. Otherwise, make sure, again, the knees don't come in, the knees don't go forward, your weight isn't distributed onto your toes, and you're not arching your back.